Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me. It is Sunday, the 8th, but this is for the week looking forward of October 9th, 2023. So, Monday is Columbus Day in the United States, but the markets are open. So, we will be going over a few things. So, first off, unless you happen to have been under a rock for the last day or two, you probably know that Hamas attacked Israel. And so now Benjamin Netanyahu has told Israel that they are at war. So he kind of declared this, and there's been quite a few awful things going on there. We are going to basically stay focused from a market perspective of how this is going to affect other things. So, moving forward, as far as sentiment, I thought this was an interesting story because it's actually originated from Bloomberg. However, this is as it's being reported in the Russian news. And basically, it's pretty clean. And they're just talking about the report that they had put out that basically expects Americans to have depleted savings by the end of October, which is this month. So, on the other side of that, we have apparently a new gauge of sentiment and also discretionary spending. And they're calling it the Netflix and fries gauge because in general, if people are still purchasing their Netflix subscription and fries alongside their fast food meals, then they're saying that consumers still have discretionary spending and it's still a buy. So you let me know what you think about that in the comments. So, as far as calendar, we've got Treasury auctions coming up and the CPI report, and those could have an effect. I don't know about rattling the markets. The Treasury auctions bond market and debt is huge, and we'll watch that. And the gauge of that we watch every day is the 10-year yield. So we'll keep a close eye on that. I do expect to have a little bit of market effect here. Okay, we also have this week Citigroup, JP Morgan, Chase, BlackRock, and Wells Fargo reporting. So we are also keeping a close eye on the banks because as interest rates have gone up, the longer they go up and hold there, the more they're basically destroying the unrealized losses of bank capital. So we're going to keep an eye on that. This is the calendar of main economic events for this week. And for the most part, we are watching the CPI inflation numbers. There's a lot of Fed presidents that will be speaking, and we're going to be watching that Treasury auction as well. So, as far as labor and employment, we have the United Auto Workers strike is still going on. So they made a bit of a deal with GM, and they decided to put the strike on hold, but they've still got more things that they want to kind of, I guess, hammer out as far as a deal. So that's not quite done, but I think it's not going in their favor as much as they would like. And I think they realize this and want to wrap this up pretty soon. We've also got a different strike going on with about 75,000 different healthcare staff, mostly in the West Coast. And that hasn't gone anywhere yet. So we'll keep you up to date on that one, even though it's much smaller than the other. We've also got basically quite a bit of pharmacists that are planning a strike. We don't know when that will happen, but some of the major pharmacies will have some of their staff walk out, and that could cause major health disruption and a lot of things going on. So I'll keep you up to date on that as well. So, as far as on the war front, we had the United States president came out saying that Israel is under terrorist attack and he's pledging US support, saying that there is a rock solid commitment to Israel and this instability is posing a challenge to Biden's peace push. But really, what he's getting at is we're looking at moving funds from Ukraine, since we cannot really support them anymore, to now, I suppose, we will be supporting Israel. And now the Ukraine. So this is another speculation. This is from the Russian side saying, could the McCarthy saga be bipartisan strategy to quietly end the aid to Ukraine? And I think there's a lot of value in this thought behind this. And this is because the corruption in Kiev, we've known about it for a long time, but it's going a little more public now, and Washington is not as able to cover it as they were in the past. So Zelensky and Ukraine are really losing the war, and they can't cover that as well as they used to. So we can't justify funding them any further. So we have to continue our inflationary stance. So we will just shift who we are funding. So I think it came out to 128 billion that went in aggregate, and we're going to be continuing to send more troops, more weapons, more money. We'll see as this goes forward, and it's all very inflationary. And again, this all goes back to the debt, that the debt must be continued, and that we must continue to borrow more in order to keep that bubble inflated. Otherwise, we'll all come crashing down around us. So, as far as what the experts are saying about oil, they're saying that there will be a knee-jerk surge, which I actually agree with, and a spike in oil temporarily when they open on Monday, and then a recovery. So usually when these major events happen, it looks kind of like a heart attack on the charts. It overcorrects both ways. First goes one way, then it overcorrects the other way before it kind of returns and resumes where it was. So I believe oil will, once it's done with this temporary knee jerk, so to speak, that it will continue its eventual climb. And as this says, both Israel and Palestine are not major oil players, but this conflict, it is sitting right in the center of the oil producing region. So they're kind of watching that because it could spread very easily. So along with that, Saudi is in the area, and basically they're considering, the story is they're considering a U-turn in oil to secure basically nuclear issue from the United States. So this is how the petrodollar originated, was that the United States promised in return that they would sell their oil only in dollars, that they would give military backing to the oil companies and protection. So kind of ironically, this is all going on just as this war is breaking out. So this is something that we were talking about late last week, about how President Xi Jinping is preparing China for the US to sanction them and what that means. So here we go, right on target. Washington is announcing new China sanctions. Now, before we had been talking about possible uh, um, action over Taiwan, that Xi was preparing over that. However, it appears I was wrong in guessing the reason that they would do it, because it looks like they've chosen basically the chip sector to go over, that they want to sanction China over, but not really a new story. We saw that coming, and so did President Xi. So I want to move on to our lava updates. And for those of you that might be new, lava updates are articles that I think are important to be aware of, but they're not necessarily market related or not necessarily expecting to move the markets. So this first one, although this will be positive for Amazon, they launched their first internet satellite prototypes. So if you are not aware that they are getting into the internet system, basically the business here, I think there's back-end reasons for this, obviously. So they're already into data collection. They have AWS, which is one of the largest data storage facilities online that exists, and now they are going into satellites, which are key for collection, communication, and distribution, of course, for this information. So I think this is really important for multiple reasons to be aware of. So their cover story is, they just want to compete in the internet system space. We know that they're already with their Blue Origin going into space, but satellites really and communication are the true battleground, if you would, for power. So aside from that, we also had this story, and I had brought this up before as well, the 23andMe genetic testing platforms. Now there has been a data breach. So when you sell off your DNA, you don't realize that they are doing this. And I think it's kind of criminal with the way that they put this out there. However, uh, it's finally happened. So a hacker got hold of some of the data, and they're offering to sell your data in bulk. So your life, your identity has a price tag of between $1 and $10 per account. And this data includes full names, usernames, profiles, photos, your birth dates, locations of where people are, as well as their genetic ancestry. So all of your relatives would be included in this. So this can be used for multiple reasons. And if you haven't done one of these yet, I think it's not a really good idea to do it. You may want to consider this before doing one of these. And I just urge you to kind of be careful of your data always. So, with that, if you don't mind hitting the like button if you did like anything in here, I appreciate you all being here tremendously. I wish you a wonderful day and thank you so much for joining. Until I see you again, my friends, stay free.